But from traffic management, let's move now to events management. We're looking at the skills, opportunities, strategies for career growth, particularly for Nigeria's burgeoning youth population, of course, who are already, arming themselves with so many other, opportunities in many different fields. But what are the opportunities contained in events management? Let's have this conversation with Adenike, Dr. Adenike Akinyemi. She's the CEO, Colony Events and Designs, and Ambassador, African Union. She joins us here in our Lagos studio. And you do look like an event.
Thank you.
So it's December, right?
Yes.
And one of the questions that we've been asking time and again on the show is, what will December look like? Will it be dirty, as we say towards the end of the year? Will it be clean? But for events managers, planners, it appears it's going to be, a full December where you're cashing to the bank. Tell us about it. What's it looking like?
December is usually the busiest, among them in the months when we have events. Over the years, you realize that Nigerians, we don't joke with events when it comes to December, because a lot of companies, they host their end of year parties, families come from abroad to celebrate. So December is always like the in thing for event planners. If you're having like 4 events in the other months, in December you can have actually like triple of that. So sometimes you have about 12 events in December, which means that it's already dated December. So December is looking great already.
Really?
Yes.
So what's the value, and I hope you'll be honest with us, I'll be open enough. Yeah. What's the value of one event in December for an average events planner? Okay,
so it depends, right? I don't want to mention numbers now because it's diverse. There is no static prices to these things. But it depends on, the scope of the event, whether small scale, large scale. But on average, let's say maybe for an end of the year party, a company can decide to spend about 20 million just to celebrate their workers for doing so much during the, and that also, encompasses the caterers, the DJ, the band. It's not just the event planning cashing out to the bank now, because the event planner is the one who brings everyone together and then disburses money to all the other vendors.
So what's the percentage of the profit that goes to the events planner? Let's say for an event worth 20 million, as you've mentioned.
Right. So now for event planners, it also depends. It's not, an agreed price. We don't have a static price for everyone. Some charge as low as 10%. Some will just tell you I will charge 20% on every transaction. So there is no static price in event planning. We don't have that space where we say, all event planners must charge this particular price. So it depends on your brand. It depends on how you think you're worth before you can charge your clients.
It's interesting. You'd almost think Bukola is considering a career in that. But it just speaks to the opportunities in that sector. By the way, any of those events that you're doing 20M and all, clearly the events they'll go all out, right? In terms of food, refreshment, band, and the rest, right? So maybe you can let us know those events, because there'll be jollof. So let us know when those events are holding so we can attend for the jollof. But let's talk about the opportunities. It's a value chain, right? Because it's important to also help people see that, hey, this is a viable space, right? So what are the value chains in the event industry? Perhaps a young person is out there thinking, what can I do? So what are those opportunities there?
Okay, right. So event planning has, is a multi-billion business in Nigeria. And you realize that a lot of planners come into the industry, they think, okay, what can I do? It's diverse. There are different opportunities. But the first thing is you need to understand the scope of the industry. Now we have event planning. So event industry is not just about event planners only. We have the event planners, we have the decorators, we have the rental companies, we have the DJs. Now entertainment, we have DJ, we have band, we have the MCs.
You have hype men.
Yes, we have hype men.
And you have someone that plays that drum.
Exactly. So, it is diverse. There's a lot of opportunities that we have. Yes, that's under coordination. So that's under event planning as well. But we also have the technical part of it. We have people who handle the hybrid events. We have technology. Events planning is a very wide space. So you have to do with you understanding the scope. Maybe you want to be a caterer, you want to be a rental company. In fact, over the years, I realized that people who do event planning, sometimes when they come for training, because I have a training school, and they will learn event planning and decoration, because that's what we do. And after they've learned this, they'll just tell me, Mama, I don't think I can cope with this. It's too wide. And then they say, I want to create a niche. So after you understand the scope of the industry, the next thing is for you to create a niche. That what am I good at? There are so many opportunities. It's so wide, and so you can pick up and say, okay, I want to be a balloon artist. I want to just handle small events.
And just that will earn you good money.
Like every other weekend, because there's always a birthday celebration.
And they always need balloons.
Exactly. So sometimes in a week we have 4 events in a week. So imagine that like an average event planner will have at least 2 events in a month. So in a year you're having about, let's say, 24 events. And
no, December is times 3.
So December is times 3.
So that's like 16 in total.
Exactly. So you have a vendor having 16 events in December. It's very possible because we all have a lot of celebrations. So now you create a niche for yourself. And after creating a niche, the next thing that you want to do is get certifications for it. Because every other person can come up and say, I want to be an event planner. But what stands you out is the certifications that you get, the skill that you get. Okay, I want to be a caterer. You just don't come into catering because you know how to cook. You have to learn how to cook. Because sometimes your presentation is all that matters. I mean, you go to a party, you see some caterers, the way they package their food. In fact, it's already appealing to you to even come to eat. Unlike when you go to other local parties and they just pour the rice and the stew together. I wouldn't even be able to eat that food because it's not even looking good already. So these things, you have to learn the skills. So there is catering, so you create a niche for yourself. That, okay, what am I good at? What's the opportunity I can get from this? In fact, I have somebody that the only thing the person does is just, to rent sound to lighting companies. So the event space is big and there is room for everybody. If you can think out of the box and say, okay, from this particular industry, what can I pick out from it? You must be able to think and say, okay, this industry, I'm into decorations, but I don't want to do weddings. I have a friend who does only burials, and she's cashing out because every day somebody dies.
And it's the fact of life. I mean, there's no hard feelings. It's what it is.
Exactly. So you create your niche, you get certified for it, and then you build strong networks.
There you go.
Because in this industry, your network is your net worth.
Okay, so we'll explore this more, some of the challenges as well. Okay. But since we're talking about a lot of food and stuff, let's go over to the food basket of the nation. Okay. We have our correspondent, Pius Angbo, who is live for us in Benue State. Okay. Pius, we're counting down to Christmas, and I wonder for you if Benue feels like Christmas just yet. But speak to us where you are. What is going on there, Pius?
Well, thank you, Kaide, for coming to me in Benue today. If you look to my right, these IDPs are gathered sharing a bag of rice for the families of IDPs in the camp here. People are beginning to think festivity in Benue. People are beginning to feel concerned that they need to meet certain needs, that they will take care of their families' festive needs, and that's what is happening for this IDP here in Aishoa camp, IDP camp in North Bank. The story has been that for the past 6 years, they've been living here after the 2018 New Year attacks that left 73 persons dead in Logo and Guma local government. This is one of the IDP camps hosting the IDPs. At the point, there were up to 34,000 IDPs here. But you see, every other day, aid agencies, government officials bringing food to support them to feed. But it's not going to be enough if somebody is donating food items to you. Compared to when you cultivate them and make them, because it's the food basket of the nation. Men, able-bodied men here, women are all idle because they can't go back to their farmlands where the cultivation of food that feeds the nation, that makes Benue the food basket, happens. If you go from the boundary with Nasarawa to Makodi, which is the headquarters, there's just one local government called Guma. It's almost deserted farm-wise. Nobody is farming, cultivating as we used to. Same thing in Zaki and Ukum because of bandits and herdsmen are attacked there. You have these problems spread around 20, up to 20 of the local governments out of 23 we have in Benue. So it's a precarious situation because food inflation has risen so high, up to 21.8% as at 2022.
So, Pius, it's interesting to note that for 6 years, the men there and the women there haven't been productive. Maybe you could, clarify that a bit again. But tell us about what the conditions of living in the camp, look like.
At the start of this IDP camp, people here were using mosquito nets, and I will show you a bit of what it now looks. Before now, people were using mosquito nets and carcass to just live under until IOM and Doctors Without Borders stepped in to begin to construct this tent you are seeing now that has given them a bit of improvement. So yes, it is Harmattan season right now, and they have some form of better shelter than it used to be. But this can be said is a dignified form of living for anybody who is in distress, because one, they are dealing with many problems ranging from health issues to feeding to even the psychological displacement problem they have, then top of their productivity. So if they have better than these, I've spoken with a couple of them on ground here, they said that they would rather have to determine their fate than people coming to give to them, government coming to promise them, and all of that. That is what is going on right now. As you can see, they are just sharing, if I can have a quantity of that, less than a mudu is what a family is getting from this sharing that is going on right now.
So for the children, Pius, has there been any program for continuing education for them in 6 years? Or have they also been, loitering about the camp in 6 years?
I know that in 2022, when I did a story on the education for IDPs, children, there was this collaboration between the Ministry of Education, State Universal Basic Education, and some NGOs who began to put the little children in groups, in cluster classes for primary 1, primary 2, primary 3, and they were teaching them, preparing them for BK exam, what you call basic junior exam. So they were doing that as at 2022, but I can't tell you right now that that is still going on. I wouldn't know the state of things right now, but all here that you look at, because on the IDP camp there, you will see the section set out for school. But here that I'm talking to you, I haven't seen one in this IDP camp. So perhaps they may be attending, there's an LGA primary school across the road when you're going to University of Agriculture here. That's where I think the students are going to school. But the point government has done now is to introduce free education for all pupils in primary schools in Benue State. So they can have access to education free of charge, which is what is happening in public schools in Benue today. So the issue of cost may have been removed from the IDP parents, so their children are able to attend the basic primary schools that we have around this camp, because this one is within the state capital.
Well, Pius, thank you for your reporting. One can only imagine what kind of Christmas they will have. But our correspondent, Pius Ango, reporting live from Akodi, the Benue State capital. Thank you, Pius, and please get back to us as soon as you have more. Well, let's continue with our conversation. And these are the realities. These are the things that add up, right? And eventually you want to buy food as maybe a caterer. Right. And you see that food is expensive. Right. It's a no-brainer, really. People who are meant to go to farms are not in farms, and IDP camps. So these things just trickle down. Right. But now to the challenges, naturally, because cost is usually a big deal when it comes to events. Imagine you hosted an event 2 years ago and you spent, just hypothetically, 50 naira. This year, if you want to host an event, same event, even smaller event, you hear 200 naira. And I'm using that just so I don't expose your trade secret. So what are some of the challenges?
Let's be humble about it.
Let's be humble, right? So what are some of the challenges that the event industry faces? And what are some of the government policies you're hoping can help to ease that sector so that young people can come in the more and make a living from it?
Right. So the first challenge is economic instability. This year has been tough on a lot of event practitioners because, like you said, the prices that we buy things are like triple the price. Before you go to China with maybe 100 million. Now, if you want to buy something worth 100 million, you spend about 500 million. It's ridiculous. The amount we use in clearing goods, it has tripled in price. And a lot of people are complaining. To even feed has been tough. Caterers are complaining the amount they buy pepper, that, okay, is this dollar thing also affecting pepper? They can't understand it. But you will realize that even these farmers need their equipment. And then it goes back into the end product, why things get expensive. People will say, oh, why are the eggs expensive? But the chicken feed is what boils down into the eggs that are being produced. So it has to go up in price. So one of the challenges is economic instability, and we really hope that, the government can do something about it. This dollar rate thing, it's really killing the business because most of the things we use are imported. And another challenge that we have is logistics. Hike in prices of transportation to get to your venue, it is Crazy. Now, sometimes before you can rent trucks as, maybe like from mainland, let's say your warehouse is in the mainland and then you want to get to island. Sometimes before you spend like 100,000 for a full truck, but now the truck companies will charge you 250,000. So if you're spending only 250,000 naira on transportation alone, then how much would you charge your client? Now the client will tell you, oh, my salaries have not been increased. I still earn the same thing I earned last year. I can't pay more. So these challenges, boils down into the fact that we are making lesser profit now because of the economic instability. Another challenge that we face is time management. Event planners are usually very busy because sometimes you're handling like 4 projects at the same time, and then you have to manage all the clients. Another challenge that we face is staffing. Our events, we call our workers soldier go, soldier come in this industry because they don't get to stay because of the amount you pay them in salaries. You only have about, let's say you have a staff strength of like 20. You have contract staff about 17, and then your permanent staff are just like 3. So those contract staffs, you have a contract with them that, you work 6 months, by the time you get better, but you realize that most of them want better in life. So once they learn the skill, they feel like they can stand on their own. I'm now an event planner. Oh, I've been with her for 3 months, and they want to go start their own business. So staffing is one of the major problems that we also face. But to be honest, the major thing that is happening right now in Nigeria is the economic instability, and we really hope that the government can do something about it so that prices get better.
You couldn't have said that, in a better way, and we hope that the message is taken. But you said something very important earlier on about how training sets, the professional events planner apart from, the ones that are not being trained. So for someone asking the question, how do I get the certification? How long do I need to, what amount am I spending? So put them through.
Okay, so now I'll focus on event planning because I don't know about the other industry. But if you want to get into the event space, it is wide. But let's say event planning, I own an event training school, Colony Events Academy, and we have the likes of Zafara Events. We have, in fact, I'm in an association called APWEM. I'm the financial secretary at the moment, and we have an affiliation with Lagos Business School where you can actually train, and become a certified event planner. So these things, even abroad, we can get certified, just for you to go online, check the schools that are available. But the honest truth is, if you're doing business and you don't, get the skill, you just because you're an ordinary person, you're not able to build that unique selling points. Then that makes your customer keeps coming back to you. How to do things professionally, it's very important, and that's why you have to train on it. Anybody can come up and say, oh, I know how to do events. It's not just to put tables and chairs together. It's beyond that. I hear a lot of people say, what are planners even doing? It's always funny because it's when you own the event, sometimes you have problems with weather forecast. So we are called fixers. You must fix it. Because like a week before the event, you've already checked your weather. Right. It's looking good.
You're going to get a rainmaker.
Thank you. But on the day of the event, it starts to drizzle. But you have to make the magic happen because your clients must not be under the rain. This is why we also have to deal with, building relationships with your colleagues. As an event person, you must build relationships. You must be able to call someone and say, please, I need a tent, like right now. And he must be able to get to you.
I need to ask a very important question, really. And it's this. I'm asking on behalf of a lot of people.
Right.
Why don't some of us get jollof rice on event days?
Why do they walk past us, some of us?
Why? You sit in a very conspicuous place. You are dressed well. You don't look at them, but you can see them. You don't want to look like you're hungry.
Past you. Now,
why?
So now this is where coordination comes in the event space. As an event planner, you have ushers that you work with, you have coordinators. Now, you think they are passing, they're not. They've been assigned to tables to serve.
And there's one woman always taking them past you. Like, come to my table.
That's the coordinator. So
no, it's not a coordinator.
Maybe the usher that you were eyeing
is a family member.
Assigned to another table, So there's somebody to serve your table. So you're supposed to wait for your turn to get your jollof rice.
So how do I...
No, but the person has obviously passed, my table.
No, I'm sure another person has been dedicated to your table.
So what do we do? Once I get in, I'll ask, who is the usher assigned to this table?
Exactly.
Because you look like I'm
okay, for an example, let's say we have a 500 guest event. And for a 500 guest event, I always advise, our clients to get 20 ushers so that you can divide the tables. So that's one usher is handling about, let's say, 4 tables. Exactly. So that usher will take care of your table at the next table. So you have to wait for your turn to get the jollof rice. You cannot serve the four tables at the same time.
The person has obviously skipped my table. It happens.
So there's this particular woman, and as I said earlier, that is always taking them past you. You can always.
That's a coordinator.
It's not a coordinator. The person is wearing the gele for the wife's family.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, back to the conversation. What are the obvious perks that come with getting certification?
Okay.
Yeah.
To become again?
The benefits, the perks that come with getting a certification.
Yes, certifications help you get professional in your field. Event planning is a career. It's not just a hobby. So you getting certified stands you out, is what makes your customers keep coming back to you, because they know that you do it right, you do it professionally. It's not just about you calling a Arisi and Baba Fela to come and organize your party. As an event planner, you put proper processes in place, you have your meetings before the event, you already map out your designs, you do your mood board, you do your floor plan. So event planning is beyond just coming together, hosting an event. You must get certified because it creates you to have your unique selling points. And when you have this unique selling proposition, that's when your clients know that, okay, this person is good at this thing that he's doing. And
so, quick question, what's December looking like, at least?
December is looking good already.
Good.
Yes.
And earlier you were talking about government policy and you're not making profits.
Nigerians always find a way, right?
These challenges are there, but doesn't mean that
I'm wondering whether we should continue to trust you.
The challenges are there, obviously, but I mean, you being the professional that you have been doing this for 13 years.
Right, so you always find a way.
Exactly. So you already have the ideas of how to put things together and make it work still.
All right. So very, very instructive conversation, and we've learned quite a lot. Thank you so much for coming on the program. We've been chatting with Dr. Adenike
Akinyemi, the CEO, Colony Events and Designs.
Yes, please. Thank you.
And so we'll take a moment now. When we return, wait for it, we have another very interesting conversation. We'll be right back.